Hey everyone, welcome to the Roblox World War II podcast. We discuss current events on the Roblox World War II community with some of its famous leaders who have helped us throughout the years and shaped this community on what it is today. If you believe you want to join the podcast and that you can actually speak with us about your current events that you're doing with your groups and your political views, by all means, links are in the description down below to contact us and see if you're able to qualify for becoming or getting on here with us. I'm your co-host Chillin, and this is co-host Yodbond here.
Sup?
And today our guest is the one, the only, the infamous Zombiepatrol of the RCCP. How are you doing, man?
Hello, everyone.
So today we're going to be asking you a series of questions on, your history with the community. We'll talk back and forth about it. Justin here, or Yodbond, excuse me, has some of the questions. So could you get them up for us?
Yeah, I've got them ready. So I've got one for you right now. When did you join the World War II community?
I joined the World War II community in late 2011 with Wigwrecker 55, thus creating the first generation of the Robloxian community of the Communist Party.
All right. Who's Wigwrecker 35 or 55, whatever?
Wigwrecker 55 is the first commissar of the first generation of the RCCP, which was created in late 2011.
So the RCCP dates back to 2011.
The exact date is not initiated, but it's either late 2011 or early 2012 from what I remember of the updates that we had to our fortresses.
So you're like a Roblox OG.
Yeah.
So, what gave you the idea of doing RCCP?
Well, it wasn't originally my idea to develop the RCCP. Wigwrecker 55 was actually the one. And ironically, Wigwrecker 55 was a former National Socialist. And I served in another group before the RCCP. It was called the Red Army with a period at the end. It wasn't considered a part of the World War II community. It was originally a renegade type of group. But I remember that I met Wigwrecker at IRM's Battle of Wewelsburg, if the community remembers. And Wigwrecker was a partisan for IRM, and me and him, we would have these kind of rookie-type political debates. And because of him, I managed to show him that National Socialist separatism is wrong, and the universal philosophy of Bolshevism and communism, etc. And because of me and him trading ideas back politically, we managed to inspire and gain enough morality to develop the first generation of the RCCP.
All right.
Did anybody else help found it, or was it just you two?
Originally, it was just me and Wigwrecker. Then other people came along, like Sergeant Ronaldo, Awesome Patman, and the second commissar of the RCCP, Hazinator, joined as well.
So, do you know the exact group size your first generation was for RCCP, or?
The first generation in 2011, it grew to about 80 to 100 men. In RCCP standards, it was quite a lot, but compared to other larger successful groups at the time, we were quite humble with what we had.
Well, back in 2011, having a group of 80 members was pretty good. I mean, pretty much back then, the mega groups of the day were Panzer, my 82nd, and a few other American divisions, so
True.
pat yourself on the back for that.
Was the 21st D-Day Battalion there as well?
I can't remember when they were formed. I think they were 2013, but I remember joining them back when they were pretty newly formed. But they became pretty big. I think they got to 2,000 somewhere around 2015, 2016.
Damn. So basically, RCCP has been around for ages now. Okay.
RCCP, we've been around for a very long time, but most people don't seem to go beyond into the deep corners of the World War II community because of the RCCP's isolationism.
Why are you isolated?
The reason I've isolated the RCCP is because of the constant backstabbings of our allies and people who say they're friends of us. For example, CSSR, led by Antiochus Migas III. The RCCP had a significant alliance with him in 2016 and early 2015, but CSSR ruined diplomacy with the RCCP when they stole our Moscow, which we were going to have for a victory parade that day. I notified Antiochus of what he's done. He acknowledged it, and I cut all diplomacy with him. Another time was when the RCCP was allied with the Americans. I'm not too sure which group it was, but it was associated with Iceball. I forgot the specific name of it.
Probably the 101st Airborne.
Exactly, I think so. One of his commanders, when he was patrolling at the Battle of Kovel, if you guys remember, the Battle of Kovel, we had a joint patrol with the Americans and the RCCP, and American officers began telling RCCP infantry where to go, what to do, and they had a confrontation with my secret police, the NKVD. Because of this, the NKVD deemed them enemies of the state for attempting to entice RCCP troops under their command, and another ally was lost, unfortunately.
I mean, you seem to have a vast history of having problems with the RCCP.
Yeah, it's very true.
I can understand that. Like, the community isn't very welcoming, I would say, to a lot of different groups. So,
especially those that are politically motivated. Speaking of which, what is your political ideology for the audience?
My political ideology is the principles of Stalinism.
And have you always been a Stalinist?
Originally, I was just a communist when I first joined Roblox in 2011. I was originally interested in communism before joining Roblox, but I didn't have quite the understanding of it. I was just kind of like, the average boy just playing Roblox. And then I started studying more about Bolshevism and Stalinism, Leninism, Marxism, etc. And I got interested in the political aspect of it. And from all of the studies that I've done, I ended up becoming most interested in the principles of Stalinism.
Right.
is there anyone who influenced you besides, these writings and like learning it on your own? Or...
During my time in the Red Army, there was a lieutenant. I don't know his name. His name is gone to history, unfortunately. But he was very inspired by the culture of commissars in video games, and what he would do was he would use the same charisma from those video games, World at War, Call of Duty, all the other older type of games. He would use the same charisma that the commissars used in those games and implement them into Roblox, which therefore had a greater social effect and caused the troops to have more faith in the group, more morale for the people, and ended up becoming more politically fervent.
Do you think the community should be politically aligned?
I should, in my opinion personally, I believe that the community should be politically fervent. I don't think that historical censorship is a positive effect on the community, because if you allow politics to grow within the community, you can have debates with other people. You can trade ideas. You can show them how their ideology contradicts one another, or you can inspire somebody to join you in your ideology, which I think gives more of an intellectual basis on the matter.
Yeah, so it kind of opens up other people to new ideas and stuff like that. So
I agree.
Do you believe that's kind of like, does that help in like helping like the community gain more members just for that sole debate, or does it like add on to like the battles? Like
the World War II community overall, it attracts people on two social statuses: the military aspect and the political aspect. Sometimes the civilian aspect, but that's very rare. Many people on Roblox, they just want to fight. They want to fight in battles and tanks and aircraft, and that is the part in the RCCP where we respect that. But there are some people who don't wish to constantly spam on their mouse and fight in combat, but rather debate with people on political principles of various ideologies, which the RCCP also takes into retrospect. The third clause of that social aspect is the civilian aspect, where people don't want to fight, but then again, they don't want to deal with the political side. They just want to be kind of in the middle, a little independent. They both want to serve on the military and political, or neither of both. So I believe that, honestly, the RCCP has respected this political side, and I think it should just grow in the community.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with that. But what are your views on, for instance, like National Socialism on Roblox? Because you said you support having political groups, but do you believe that National Socialism should be allowed on Roblox?
I believe National Socialism should be allowed on Roblox and should be allowed to contest their ideologies because it gives the people who are interested in debating communism a chance to debate with actual people who believe in that ideology. Nazism is only I don't see it as a negative connotation when it comes to ideology because everybody has their own beliefs, everybody has their own views. And I don't think that National Socialism should be immediately cut off from the pie. You know, they should have a chance to explain their views, debate their views, the same as communists and liberals and
Instead of
Marxists do.
isolating them and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Because basically, what I see is that the climate on Roblox is pretty much the same as the Vietnam War, whereas the Nazi groups are like hiding in like their dirt tunnels, and then you've got the Roblox admins coming over with their shitty Hueys, and then you've got like bloody Nerva dude with a radio calling them in. Like that's my view of the community.
I can agree to that because what Nerfer Dude and Shafe are doing is historical censorship. And it's wrong because they are no different from what Luisato and the National Socialists are doing. And I speak for the part of the National Socialists that are radicalized and chauvinist for the ideology. I'm not speaking about the reenactors and those who are innocent for the purpose of entertainment. Now, what Nerfer Dude and Shafe is doing is they're literally being the tattletales for the Roblox admins. I think this is wrong because it ruins the historical materialism that the World War II keeps trying to give off. Without that materialism, kids don't know what World War II is. They don't get the proper information. I've learned so much from simply being a leader on this game than I have in various educational facilities.
I can
I have
honestly
to agree with that.
Like, sorry to butt in, but like, after all this time with like, you know, leading like my own groups, Justin leading his own groups, like I can see that a lot of people, when given the chance to like lead groups and like discuss like this type of stuff with different people, basically just cooperate in general, just breeds like growth and development, whether or not it's like the World War II community. And
Especially when you're leading, because like
yeah.
people serve you, and you have to speak with people and like fix situations. It helps you grow as a person, in my opinion.
Makes you learn some important lessons in life.
And
Yeah.
the social arithmetic of the community is that if you don't know what you're talking about, your group gets a lower status within the community. The more you know about the historical theater that you are representing, the more likely your group is to become popular and is to succeed.
Not only that, it's like if you're not historically accurate, well, to an extent, like for instance, you put like a T-60 for like modern day Russia or something like into like the Battle of Stalingrad. Everybody's gonna shit on you for that. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
Or like an AK-47, and you're running around like
Like
in like some bush war or something, or like fighting the like you have like a Nazi army or something, and you've got like a fucking attack helicopter or something.
Personally, I believe that the more historical accuracy in a game or in whichever theater that you're representing, the more you go down into the cultural, military, and political details of what that country had in the year that you represented it, I feel that it will give more of an atmosphere to your soldiers that they are looking for. For example, in the early generations of Brest-Litovsk Fortress that I developed, I wasn't completely historically accurate on the architecture of the fortress itself. However, the inside, I added chairs, officers' housing, offices, the barracks, the vehicle depot, etc. All of these small little punctuous details combined together to create an atmosphere. Some people said, oh, I feel like I'm actually in Russia, but that's the effect I'm trying to give off because of historical accuracy.
Yeah, I have one more question to go back a bit further to like what we were just talking about with like how groups can get banned and things like that. So the Roblox, in their terms of service, bans groups that are like National Socialist or Fascist or Neo-Nazi or whatever. But you can also get banned for doing groups like Italy, and I've seen Hungary's and other things be banned as well. So technically that it expands further to fascism as well. And fascism is not in their terms of service. It's just literally neo-Nazism and Nazism. I've gone over it a bunch of times, so I don't see why these groups can get banned. But it does also say that like genocide and other things should also get banned. But I don't understand why National Socialist groups specifically get targeted because of like the 6 million Jews that died, when communism has killed like how many people, and they're not banned.
Well,
That's
not even
one
just the Soviet Union like that we're talking about when you reference communism. That's modern groups as well, and like there's also you could use that argument for the millions of deaths that were caused.
It could be used for any campaign.
Yeah,
the
like
Japanese Chinese campaign.
Yeah, the internment camps that the Americans set up. The Nanking massacre that happened with the Chinese and the Japanese. Fucking hell, even going all the way back to Mongolia with Genghis Khan running around killing people. If there's even a community around that right now, so
I just gotta jump in. Nanking never happened.
Honestly, I think when people come to terms with the Nazi genocide of Jews, I believe it to be a overrated statement, because millions more people died on the Eastern Front, millions more people died against the Japanese and the Chinese campaign, millions of other people died in so many other campaigns, yet we keep focusing on the Jewish Holocaust. Yes, it was bad, but it was a time of war. The Nazis had the power to implement these plans, and it is unfortunate that it happened, but it is fortunate that we stopped them.
And like at the same time, like it's really hypocritical as one. Like why do the Jewish community get all of this this press that if you make fun of Jews or you do anything that's against Jews, then you're seen as an anti-Semite and you must be banned on like any social media, not just Roblox, anything. But they don't give a fuck about wars where people have died like a lot more. And what's even worse is before World War II, the Jews were kicked out of nearly every country they went to. They were massacred nearly everywhere. Like in medieval Europe, they were beheaded, like slaughtered in their houses. Like villages of them were like rallied up and slaughtered. So it just doesn't make any sense why this specific part of history where the Jews were killed is like so heavily centralized around social media, and if you even reference it, it's like bannable. But any other incidents or any other like crimes or against humanity,
personally, I think a disaster that was greater than the Holocaust was the Eastern Front alone, 1941 to 1945. More people died fighting the Nazis and the Soviet Union than more people died in the Holocaust, and I feel that is a greater disaster than the Holocaust because it is an act of war. What happened to the Jews is a mere unfortunate, but it's time to stop propagating it as it's the worst situation in the world. Yes, it was evil, but there's million more people who've gotten murdered, not only Jews. So
different examples like that are more like widespread and like can be easily referenced. Is what you're saying.
Exactly. And I have nothing against Jewish people. I have Jewish friends, I have Jewish colleagues, etc. But it's time to grow up a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
I just find it extremely hypocritical how you can't ban like Japanese groups, but anything that is like German related can get banned. I've seen World War I Germans get Germany groups get banned, but I can kind of understand it because Lewis is like he's done so much to like try and hide that his group is World War II. So he's done like World War I uniforms and everything like that, but giving them like World War II guns and stuff like that. So that's why the admins ban like groups that aren't even in the World War II community. But I feel like Nerva's just abusing his power as a little bitch to try and ban everybody.
Nerfer dude shouldn't even consider himself to have the right to do this because Roblox didn't give him any certain type of role. It's not his duty. It's just him putting himself on top of this pyramid that he's built in the name of American liberalism. And I've confronted Nerfer dude many times on the situation, and because of this, he believes that the spread of Nazism through Louis Otto is enticing the young minds of young children into Nazism. Just because you stop it on Roblox, they can have access anywhere else. Steam, Discord, Skype, Facebook. There are plenty of other social media sites that promote Nazism. So doing this on Roblox is kind of a lost cause.
And let me just jump in there. So he politically motivates kids. Well, Luisardo politically motivates like younger people to join his cause. But then again, so does Nerva. Like he does the complete opposite. He's
Well,
like
pretty much everyone does it at this point. Is what I is like what I want to get
no,
at. Like,
but they're like the two radicals of the community. Like I'm not saying Stalinism isn't radical, but like you're quite relaxed with people that join your group. Like you don't force people to have a political ideology. You're personally a Stalinist, but you don't care who joins your group and they represent that ideology. If you go to Nerva's group or Luisardo's group, if you don't represent their values, you're gone. You're kicked out. You're hated. They're literally both radical dictators that only want one side or one view. And by the way, if you're listening, Nerva dude, you're welcome to come on.
don't call people out like that.
No, but me personally, my personal philosophy on political ideology when it comes to the RCCP is that I only allow people to indulge in political ideology if they want to. Most rumors have spread that I ordered the NKVD to brainwash people into Stalinism, which is obviously false because there's no such order, nor would I ever enforce that on people of the RCCP. There have been nationalists that join the RCCP and sympathize with communist values. There have been liberals. There have been actual communists, Marxists, a different diversity of political ideologies within the RCCP. So Stalinism is the priority, but is not the enforced priority.
I think you've even had fascists and a National Socialist at one point.
I've had fascists and National Socialists join the RCCP.
Exactly, so that's why I don't consider you really a radical, but when it comes to Nerva and Luisardo, in my books, they're both complete radicals.
Moving on from this, though, going along with, like, you know, whole despising certain people or hating certain people, like, this is another question for you, Zombie. What do you hate about the community the most, or, like, what was the worst experience you had in the community?
My personal worst experiences in the community is cheating, is dishonorable statistics and bad values that other groups like to promote. When the RCCP would raid Lewis's groups, Lewis would provide no fair advantage for the assault, just no strategic value for the raiders, therefore making the experience in his maps much less enjoyable. And the same could be said to other groups. They want to promote their glory, their ideology, their nation, but they're not willing to fight on equal ground for it.
So, like, stuff like admin abusing and, you know, making unfair maps, obviously. Anything like game passes, do you believe those are kind of unfair, or?
I believe when it comes to game passes, yes, they can have an advantage over regular armed soldiers. For example, snipers or machine guns or mortars, etc. Whatever you wish to sell in your game passes. But when it comes to ridiculously over armored like items, such as, like, you know, you get this big mecha suit and you have like a Gatling gun and you're just machine gunning raiders, I think that ruins the premise of strategical combat, because of the fact that it's the more finance you have, the more freedom you have within the combats of warfare, which is it's realistic to a point, but not to where you're driving a freaking mecha KV-1 over the hill or something, you know?
I mean, what I like to do in my games is I like to make the game passes extremely cheap, like 15 or 30 Robux for everything. Because you need the money to advertise the group. At the same time, I don't like doing it, but you need the money. It's like a necessary evil.
For me, I've merged the way I distribute my game passes over advantage, and it's not unrealistic advantage. For example, in the upcoming map that's being developed is Brest-Litovsk Fortress, and it's the newest version. Snipers will be sold as a game pass, but I'm going to make it to where, despite you have a sniper, it doesn't mean you have the fullest 100% advantage over the RCCP. The man makes the rifle, not the rifle of the rifle.
Not the rifle itself.
Yeah.
The rifle of the rifle.
Well, rifle of, you know,
we get it.
Yeah.
No, but so obviously you discussed cheating about, like, you know, the worst thing that you view about this community, or like worst experience, but like what's the best experience that you had in the community so far, like as a whole? What do you summarize
The
it?
the best experience I can say is helping people socially, because Roblox naturally is a place for troubled people, people with troubled past, or having trouble in school, or having social awkwardness, etc., etc. The RCCP has served as a magnet for people who wish to explore into political ideologies or make friends, make colleagues, etc. I've had many people come up to me, saying, Zombiepatrol, this happened in my life, or Zombiepatrol, I'm confused about National Socialism. And I give them an unbiased explanation of what National Socialism is, or whichever ideology they wish to explore. But when it comes to they need friendship or they need assistance in some other group, I'm kind of like this fatherly figure. I don't wish to say that in a biased way, but the way the RCCP comes to me and asks me for certain things to distribute, I think that is the best experience, to help people and to be a part of be a part of a group, essentially.
All right, Papa Stalin.
Not so much like a father, but like a teacher. Could you put
Yeah,
that
something like
accurately?
that.
Okay. Uh, Anything else you want to add on to that? Like, has there been like one experience that you could like detail, or do you not want to give out names, or?
Hmm. This may sound a bit sadistic, but my favorite experience in the World War II community was the first NKVD purge. Uh, it was the due to the severity of the situation at the time, certain changes had to be made. Because of this, uh, it wasn't because of me executing my friends that I enjoyed. It was moreover getting stuff organized in the RCCP.
Okay, that's kind of creepy.
How is that creepy?
Just like I enjoy. It's not like I didn't enjoy executing.
No, I know. I didn't enjoy it, but just cutting loose ends, essentially. That's
Like
what I
getting
meant.
rid of ineffective people that you just
Hmm.
that are that they're not like they're not friends like close friends, but they're like people who
They're not loyal to the RCCP. They're loyal to their, for example.
like they're only in it for themselves.
Exactly.
Okay. Uh,
Okay, what are your thoughts on today's community compared to like the old community, like back in 2014 and prior?
I think the situation on the modern community, it's a tug of war. It's a tug of war between the Soviets and the Americans. The Nazis have been literally oppressed into non-existent. I hardly see any active German groups anymore, and even if they are active, they don't have quality within their ranks, unless there's some other group which I didn't see. But my comment on the World War II community right now is that massive change is needed. Massive change is needed in the Soviet community, in the American community, in the Japanese community, in all communities across the board. Because so far, the RCCP has been this small little section in the Soviet community where we actually analyze and research Soviet values, Soviet culture, etc., etc. Other groups do the same, but they don't do it to heart. For example, they'll act immature, or they'll say something racist, or just make their group out of character, which is very popular. I'm not too sure why in the World War II community, but then again, it should be shunned because it doesn't bring the historical accuracy that people are looking for.
like, do you mean by like, for instance, you said something about the groups not being like they're creating their own character? Do you mean like fictional historical like World War II groups or like historical fictional groups? Or
Both. There will be, if the fictional group follows the historical traditions of whichever nation that they're representing, I'm totally fine with that. But if there's a historical group that completely disregards the historical values of such nation, I think that should be shunned in the World War II community.
like like a Russian group like that's Tsarist or something in World War II, and it's like fighting the Germans or whatever, but with like Soviet equipment or something like
It's like
that.
Yeah,
alternative
yeah,
history.
it's stuff like that.
Alternative history, like World War II. All right, I can understand that.
I quite like the idea of alternative history groups being accepted as long as they don't steer too far away. So, say, like, just going to use a random example. Say you wanted to form like the Benelux or something like that. As long as you kept to the traditions of one of those countries or all three of those countries, I don't think there's a problem. If you started like adding some stupid ass shit to it, then it kind of degrades it a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of falls into territory where like it's not gonna get like a lot of traction. Not really effective as a group.
Exactly.
So, one more question: what's your opinion on like mega groups or groups that like just spam adverts? Because in the last year or two, we've seen groups that have gone from, I think the biggest groups back in the day were, if ever, about a couple of thousand, but now we've got groups that have gone over a couple of 100,000.
Personally, these mega groups like that go over 100, they're like these big corporate. In my opinion, in my view, they're corporatist groups. They don't extend to teach their followers about the political or even militaristic values of the army that they're representing. And it's from what I've seen of the activity within these massive supergroups, it's disorganized, massively corrupt, and it's either controlled by a family or controlled by a friendship type cult.
Oh, like a family dynasty and stuff like that, like the models or like the
Exactly.
Kibblers, stuff like that.
Some of my colleagues wanted to create a patrol family, but I declined it because I said I didn't want the RCCP to run around with my name because I didn't want it to seem like the RCCP was a hereditary monarchy or some type of stuff like that.
Right. I
Okay,
can
yeah.
get behind that. Where it's like you like people like who join the group feel like they're kind of inclined to become a part of that family, or like
Mm-hmm.
it creates like a status for them.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
personally, I know because I've led 3 or 4 families. I know that if you're in a family, people that are in the family will get free ranked. I know.
Mm-hmm.
I own 3 of them. So yeah, that's how it works. It is corrupt. It's literally just a giant circle jerk to the leader.
Exactly.
Cough me. So I have all the power, and everybody else just basically, if they want someone promoted, they ask me, and I'll do it. Unless I'm doing specifically milsim, in which case I don't give out free ranks even to my family members. But if I'm not doing milsim, then it's a different matter.
I've had only 2 people who did the patrol family, but I told them you won't get any special recognition. You won't get any type of recognition from me as a family member because I don't like the idea of a family. And they said, as long as we have your last name, I am fine with
I
it.
remember that like a couple years
Yeah.
ago when I was leading a part of RCCP during that, like it was like I changed my name to Victor Pavlinsky, and then some guy wanted to change his last name to Pavlinsky too, and I told him that I wasn't gonna like give him any bonuses because of it, and then he got mad at me for it.
There was a defector who defected from the Metternich regime. I'm not going to say who, but I'm going to say their new username. Yosef Patrol. She defected from the Metternich regime, and what the Metternich regime did, they misrepresented the RCCP. She told me that what Lavo and his representatives were telling their soldiers in the Metternich regime was that the RCCP was corrupt. They'll shoot you for no reason. They have no reason. They're just bloodthirsty communists, so to say. When Lisa attacked Poland, which was the RCCP's frontal base, she realized that with the coordination of our military strategies, so for example, we'd have 2 T-34s roll up on the side of the city, and then we'd assault the town and cut off the Germans who are advancing across the bridge. She would see this coordination, and she would say, if they're so bad, why are they holding the bridge? You see, it's the small details that tell people what a group is and how it operates and what it stands for.
Speaking on the whole naming dynasty, like were there any like big names that were in the RCCP that created their own family that you remember?
I believe Back then, there was a family called the Zuberkovs in the RCCP. They had influence. It was like a little friendship group. And when the RCCP, with the massive amount of generations that we had, when the RCCP dissolved once again, the Zuberkovs kind of went off to go do their own thing, like SCP and other various Soviet groups, etc., etc.
So do you believe that family dynasties can like also be like it could be like for a group of friends, but can it also be like a collection of like developers and like what do you call like a family? Like what describes a family overall?
For me, a family is kind of like a tribe, a gang, a group, just a collection of people. But the social status of a family on Roblox can differ on what the leader of the family wants it to represent. It could be a group of developers, programmers, a group of friends, a group of Stavka or high commanding military leaders. It could be anything that whoever the leader of the group puts the social status as. So a family could be anything, just depending on whatever it represents, really.
Yeah, I get you.
Hmm.
So continuing on with questions. So how do you think Roblox has really helped you develop as a person? Like why do you come back to this game and why do you still play it?
The reason I come back and play this game is because of the massive amount of creativity that this platform gives. I've been playing this game for a very long time, as everybody knows, but there is a mature side to this community, there's a intellectual side to this community, and there is a small genre of this community that develops historical culture. And there's a lot of other genres that we can discuss, but for now it's the World War II community.
So,
I think Roblox alone has taught me more historical perspectives than my high school and some of my middle school years. Because of the materialism that I've learned on Roblox, I was able to debate my own history teachers in high school about the history that they were teaching me. So it's literally selling paper to a tree.
I can see that. I mean, I've had a lot of friendships and things like that develop over Roblox, and I think it's like built my character as well.
Yeah, I can agree to that. I've met hundreds of people like from RCCP alone when I used to be in it and like lead it. Like I can count off 30 members off my head that I still contact regularly, who ask me about questions. And not only that, it's just like people help you on this like on these groups that you find when you connect with them and when you like become friends with them, you help each other through stuff that you normally can't help yourself with. Like maybe it's
Agreed.
depression or like maybe you're just having a problem like with like you're fighting or something in the game and that like even that can help develop a friendship. Like I remember troops who became friends just because they were just practicing for hours at end at the training bases, and from that they formed much greater bonds and pushed through some of the hardest times they've ever had in their life.
Throughout the early years of RCP in 2013 and 14, some of these veterans that served back then, I still speak to this day.
If I go back to what you just said, Chillin, I quite agree with that. I mean, like, most people play Roblox like when they're young, and then it goes through to their teenage years, and then the reason most people stay playing it, like when you become a little bit older, like when you've like first become an adult and things like that, is mainly because there is a mature side to this community. It's not just kids, as Zombie said. Like for instance, in the World War II community specifically, there's a small group of people that are obsessed with historical accuracy and other things and the history behind everything, and they like to import and build models and sort of like test it because Roblox is such a creative platform. And unless you can fully code and like you buy all the expensive software, Roblox is the only outlet where you can create and make your own stuff in the same way. Whereas the only other option to do that would be to probably go and buy like $1,000 software or £1,000 software.
All right. Yeah, I understand that point of view where it's like not only does Roblox add a creative platform, it's also easy to like understand and like build on it and script. Like I don't personally know scripting, but there are a lot of people who can say that once you learn the basics of it, you can build your uh, knowledge of it over time, really start and develop like bigger projects, like team change UIs, like from that just like small basis to like uh, creating character message and like animations and stuff for characters. So you can learn a lot from the platform. It's also easier to animate, obviously. And throughout that time, again, as Zombie said, you'll meet people who are going to be with you for years at end. So,
Yeah.
but speaking of Roblox, Zombie, so what's kind of like the best thing you view Roblox has to offer besides creativity? Like, what are some of the best key features you like about Roblox engine or like its overall website?
What I like about the Robloxian website is the amount of diverse creativity it brings. Like, for example, uh, you could create your own clothing, your own advertisements, your own decals for your groups, your own ranks for your groups, your own uniforms, your own bases, anything within the guidelines of Roblox. And you always see these ridiculous advertisements of like Roman warfare, build your own empire, or Clash of Clans, build your own empire. I feel like Roblox legitimately allows you to create your own empire with the social status that an empire deserves. For example, you could build an empire on Clash of Clans, but you won't have the necessary interaction that Roblox gives. For example, you can't make your own clan tag on Clash of Clans because they provide the images for you. But on Roblox, on the other hand, you could make it to whichever genre or group or culture that you represent, which is very, very. I've never seen a game with a platform like this, and it's very rare, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. But I have one more question in the
Mhm.
lineup. Do you have any like regrets? Like anything you've done in the past that you regret doing?
I would have to say one of the things that I regret is probably treating some of my friends back in the early days of the RCCP uh, with inappropriate behavior. You know, I back then I didn't realize the significance of friendship on Roblox, or not even within Roblox, but past Roblox. I've managed to grow friendships with some people on Roblox that we don't need Roblox to connect as friends anymore. We can discuss communism. We can play Steam. We could meet up or do whichever social activity that we deem significant. And my regret is treating some of those people. I put the RCCP before them without realizing that the RCCP is just a Roblox group. It's a Roblox group. Roblox can shut down at any moment, but the people are still there. And I feel like I've realized this recently that the friendships that I've gained with all of these veterans who grew up with me in 2011 all the way until now, these are friends that I respect and I have a close bond with. So my regret is treating putting Roblox before them. That is my regret.
All right.
All right.
Do we have any more questions, Shilling?
Well, we could go back to the previous question. Like, what's the worst feature you don't like about Roblox? Like, what's something that on the platform itself, as it functions, like how it interacts with different people, like what don't you like?
By far, Roblox Studio. The worst editing program I've ever seen. It shuts down randomly, doesn't save your work. Sometimes the GUIs that you're trying to implement don't work because of a script error that the system doesn't tell you, or the tedious unioning. They need to update the triangles for the unions so that you can union as many parts as you want without the limits of triangles. Because the purpose of a union is to join something to combine it into one part. And you can't do that on some unions because of some geometrical error or something.
I have to agree with the unions. I remember one time I was doing a pillar. This was back when like unions nearly first came out, so they've added more triangles now. But when it first came out, I was there making a pillar. I'd seen other people do like unions and like make their pillars and things like that. I was like, oh, okay, I'll make like a Roman or a Greek style pillar, and I was making it, and I was halfway through doing like just a crowd. It's pretty basic. You just do like cylinders to make the pillar, and I was halfway around, and it just came up saying you've reached the triangle limit, and you can't combine these. Like it was an error, and I kept trying to do it, and I restarted it. I did it all over again. Last one again. And I was just like, you know what? Fuck this shit. Just closed down studio and was gone. I was like,
I can recall a moment where I was trying to just make a simple fence for one of my maps. Like it was like a metal fence, kind of like a barricade, and it was all using cylindrical parts. But during that time it was unioning, it created roadblocks where it wasn't responding, and it was saying it was trying to union it, and then at the very end it fucking crashed Roblox like 5 minutes later.
Recently, I was working on Brest-Litovsk Fortress. It's a new project for the RCCP, and the bad thing about Roblox Studios Team Create is when you click on a map that has Team Create enabled, it requests access, and it requests access for about 10 minutes before opening the game or even failing to open the game. So you wasted your time.
I don't think I have that issue.
I've had that issue.
It's for people with lower like internet latency. Like it could go up for hours long, and then like it doesn't give you the option to close it out, or it freezes it. I've had that issue a couple of times.
But
in the past.
I will tell you one issue I've had. So currently, right now, I can't even access Studio without uninstalling it like 6 times and reinstalling it like 6 times. I don't know what the problem is. I've had it before and I fixed it, but because they've moved the forms or like the forums, I can't go back and find the original post that someone made to correct it. And I've tried using the new developer forums for it, and no one's posted about this. It's only me that's probably had it. It's a really old bug, and I can't figure out what the hell is wrong with it. So I've been going on YouTube, like typing in the bug, like the full like error coming up. Can't find it. I've been doing all of the things they've told me to do, still can't fix it. The only way I can do it is if I uninstall it and reinstall it like 10 to 20 times or something, and then it will finally work. And then as soon as I close out a studio, I have to do it all over again.
Yeah, that also contrasts to a couple of problems I had where my antivirus keeps blocking it. Like it thinks Roblox is like some sort of virus, and it refuses to open some of the programs for it. It's obnoxious. Like, and the only way to fix it is to try and navigate your antivirus, which you may not even fully know about, or you have to uninstall and reinstall Roblox, as you said. There's a lot of problems with Studio and just the Roblox player, like launcher in general, that they refuse to acknowledge.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they could do a lot more work. I'm not saying they haven't done all of the updates they've done aren't bad. They have done good updates recently, but they have done a lot of shit updates as well, like R15, when they removed
the forums,
tickets and forums. I can kind of agree with forums. I'm pretty sure they said they'd add them back later. It's just a temporary feature because people were spamming them. They need to get rid of bots. That's a huge thing because I don't. What really annoyed me is when they remove comments from everything, like catalog, everything apart from game passes.
Places.
Yeah, like I love being able to have comments in game passes. Now the only fucking way to do that now is if you put a game pass in it and you type in the description comments in game pass.
And even then, that doesn't fix the original problem of people botting accounts and spamming the comments. Like
exactly.
People can still go on the game pass and still. So this report, like either they need to fix getting rid of the bots or update the reporting feature.
Like I liked having the comments there because people could not remove comments from places. So, like, if the game was shit and people were, or say it's like one of those propaganda vignettes.
I remember those.
People could always debate on there, and like they could get their opinion heard. And another fucking update: the hashtags. It's gotten so bad. What they need to do.
So the ignorance of Roblox developers to the original Robloxians of this entire community. They keep ignoring us and they keep trying to monetize on the children community. And it's getting very frustrating because they don't know nothing about Roblox. It's the older generation of Robloxians who are even creating these games to keep these kids coming.
Speaking of which, on that Roblox aspect for children, here's a question for you that I've been wanting to ask. What do you view like Roblox's age? Like what kind of people should be playing Roblox? Like teens, tweens, adults. Like, how do you think Roblox should be used as a format or like as a engine?
Personally, I see it as a entertainment exodius. It's a platform for people who wish to play video games. People who ridicule other Robloxian players, like, "Oh, you're playing Roblox. That's such a kid's game." They're ignorant to the cultures and communities that exist within these subcultures or on Roblox. The age variation could limit to. It may sound controversial, but maybe mid-20s at your latest, mid-20s or early 20s, because depending on what you're doing in Roblox, establishes your significance on the website itself. So, for example, if you're a World War II leader and you have a political movement, or if you're a programmer and you're helping develop some big game, or you just like to play Roblox on your free time while at the same time going to college and work, I see no difference because it's a video game. You know, there's no difference playing this and playing Call of Duty or Battlefield or, Hearts of Iron, etc.
Do you think that there should be like an age limit, or like an age like an age at the beginning, like where you should start thinking about playing? Or because you have people who are like 6 years old who get on this game and start playing it, and then start, like, even with all these safeguards, they can walk into some pretty interesting, or perhaps
this game is not for kids. Like, to me, this game, like, they could fix it so easily. They used to have a feature, if most of you know, where if you were under 13, you wouldn't be able to like do certain things. Like, you couldn't even speak. You used to have to just do like,
safe
or you
chat.
could have safe chat. They used to have safe chat. What they need to do now is have the exact same thing brought back. They need to have like 3 different mediators. They need to have safe chat for people that are like 12 and under. Then they need to or 13 and under, because that's like the legal requirement. I'm pretty sure 13. So they need to do that. They need to bring safe chat back, and then they need to do another one where you're over 13 to like say 16, where you can't do like any swear words. And if you're 17 onwards, you can swear, but they shouldn't allow everything. But what I'm saying is, like, people of the other age groups can't see what you type.
Yeah.
Unless it's like,
Exactly.
if for them it'll be moderated, but for you it won't, because this game is advertised as a game for all ages, but it's not for all ages. It used to be for all ages, but now it's getting more and more centered around kids, which doesn't make sense, but considering all of the successful groups and games and everything
are
that's
made
made
by
in this
people
game
who are teenagers.
are made by
and
people that are
adults.
teenagers or early adults, so it doesn't make any sense.
The funny thing is, the people that make these games are the same people who were playing with us when we were, first newborn Robloxians in 2012 and 13, etc. But now these people have grown up. They've learned scripting or whichever endeavor they've went into, and they're here to provide Roblox with whatever materialism that they want to provide Roblox with. But the fact that Roblox is literally cutting us off and trying to focus everything on the children community is a complete disaster. And it will end in a complete disaster if they don't listen to what we have to say.
Exactly. Because we're the people who make the games at this point, not the children. That ruins the games.
I think this game's like time is numbered. I don't think it will exist for more than a year or 2 more. With the current updates and like the climate it's been shifting to, I don't think it will. Like, people that have, as you said, have like played this game since they were young and have become admins. I've been on the dev forums. I can see them. They understand the community, but they are powerless, even as admins, to change the communities or like improve them. Like, there's supposed to be a group overhaul since like 2016. We haven't had any updates in the groups. The only update we had was you can take funds out of the group and put them into your account. That was the only update. There was supposed to be a huge group overhaul in 2016, but that hasn't even come yet. Personally, I think they don't give a fuck about groups. I don't think they give a shit about communities at all. I think they only care about games because that keeps them active and makes them money.
One of my theories is that one day Roblox will completely get rid of the R6 variant of the Robloxian and force everybody to use the R15.
I have an intense feeling that's gonna make so many people leave. I know I'm gonna leave if that happens.
I would resign if that happened.
Yeah, I'd literally write. I think I'd write add one of the admins and just tell them over DM, go fuck yourself and leave. Or I'd just make like a group called the Third Reich or some shit.
Yeah. And it's not that I would leave because of the R15, but the culture that the R15 is attracting, and that would ruin the World War II community.
I just don't like R15.
It
I,
looks
I
so ridiculous.
I love the old Roblox. I don't like new Roblox. Okay, I like some of the updates. I'm not saying.
Yeah, I'm not saying we're not saying all updates are bad for anybody watching, but like the some of the updates they've had are either controversial or just downright stupid.
Personally, I don't think they even give it like every update that you think about. They don't ask the communities about it, or like I think they just ask like the other admins about like, oh, do you think this update will be good? Yeah, sure, let's do it. I don't think they care what the communities think.
All right.
Like everybody wanted ticks to
Yeah.
stay. Everybody want. I can kind of understand ticks getting removed, but they
I
need another
don't.
currency for people.
They inflated it, like they inflated the price, which caused so many problems because the economy with trading was causing uh, so many problems, which resulted in ticks being removed out like because of it. But removing ticks as a whole because just to fix the trading problem, because I knew that was part of like one of the main issues they brought up because of why they removed it, is not a justification.
I mean, I personally support them removing ticks, but at the same time, if they're going to remove free currency so people can't buy anything, they need to make clothing free. They need an
Exactly.
option where you can sell clothing for free. I would never put
They
money.
used to have it, and then they
Yeah,
removed
they
it.
did. I don't know why. To me, I would happily put every piece of clothing I edit or make on sale for free. I don't care about profit for clothing.
Yeah, a lot of people in the group in like the communities or like the war clans always make their stuff cheap on purpose because they need their soldiers to buy it in like P uniform. So now there's a lot of places out there now who purposely make their uniform givers and stuff in game just to have people to like identify who they are. But
I don't understand why they had to make it where you have to pay for clothing. Like, isn't it the creator's decision? Oh, I want to make this clothing free. I can
You
kind
can't
of
make it
understand
free
it because
anymore, right?
yeah,
no, you can't. You can only make T-shirts free.
Hmm.
Because I understand why they did it. I think is because people could steal clothing and then make it free, and then everyone could have it. But at the same time, why don't they just develop a copyright system?
exactly.
Honestly, the biggest problem that Roblox needs to attack is exploiting because there are certain people that dislike the RCCP for what we stand for and what we represent, and we have no proper way to defend from these massive upgrading exploits. I remember one time somebody came to the Kremlin and they legitimately turned into a tarantula right in front of us and started eating everybody. I was like, "What is going on?" And uh, I even with filtering enabled, the exploit was still managed to get through. So I think Roblox needs to focus on the people exploiting this game negatively and just the overall protection of our assets because this is getting out of hand.
Yeah, they definitely need a copyright rule because everybody knows place exploits exists, and they've been hamped up a lot. Even with FE, you can still place exploits. So
Exactly.
I mean,
Alright.
I know because I've done it. I've place exploited people's maps, and I
No,
decided, you know what?
I have as well. I'm not
Oh,
gonna lie.
I'll be honest, I felt bad, and I told the person I did it, and he said it was fine as long as I gave credit, and I haven't done it since. But yeah, I've done it. A bunch of other people have done it. Personally, the reason I did it was because I thought the group was dead. It was dead, and the person who did it didn't mind as long as I gave him credit. But I wouldn't do it. Like I highly suggest don't do it. It just makes
It's a complete disregard for somebody's hard work. I've been building games for years, and I've gotten up to the point where I've been able to build massive, like amazing architectural like buildings. Like recently, I constructed a Swassky Tower, but I purposely put it on private because I remembered that even with filtering enabled, I don't want somebody to steal that tower, even if it's just like
Exactly.
a single tower or whatever. That has amazing architecture, and I put my heart and soul into that for 2 months, and I just don't want it to be stolen.
yeah.
It's a problem. Like
And
that.
even if you report it to the admins, there's legitimately
Yeah, because they can't prove that you made it unless you filmed it, and even then, I don't do anything. So
Exactly.
if you have any credibility, just don't steal people's maps.
Right. And then, since we've finally discussed all the problems with Roblox, we have one last question for you, Zombie. So for Roblox, how do you think the community overall has shifted from certain niches or like trends to the newer trends today, like how have you seen the community grow and change over time? Like, what are some key
Well,
aspects?
for me, when I first joined the community, it was very, very simplistic. You know, we had basic tanks, we had basic guns. The military bases back then were very blocky and simplistic, the true style of Roblox. But now, you know, the community has evolved into who makes the best map and who has the most members. It's not about who makes the best maps for combat and who has the most quality and educated members. You know, most people, they can have astonishing and beautiful maps, but the army is shit. Or they can have a brilliant army, but the military combat aspect is absolutely horrible. These are some of the social aspects I've seen in the community growing because of USM, SHAFE, and you know all these arising Soviet groups, RM 1940s. You know, RM 1940s, they make good guns, they make good weapons, they make good maps, but the quality of their commandership is in negative connotation. And this can apply to not only RM but various other groups that have shown misbehavior and you know just historical inaccuracy or simply corruption. You know, and personally, I think the World War II community has turned it's merged into pre-Cold War. The Americans have ripped the Nazis of any materialism that they can represent. Thus, without the Nazis, the Soviets have nobody to fight but the Japanese, and the Japanese community is already alone a mess due to the you already know. I'm not going to go into that, but leaving that, it leaves the Soviet community and the American community just eyeballing each other. Like, look, we destroyed the Nazi community, and here we are. Therefore, it's one of the reasons why some representatives of various American groups have visited RCCP bases with negative comments and with negative purpose, which is why I sense the actions of what SHAFE has done to quote unquote modernize this community has only turned the World War II community into pre-Cold War.
All right, I can agree with it. Yeah, I can definitely agree with like how the shift of community has always been from, you know, in 2013 and 2014, where it's like mainly German and American groups, and then eventually over time it switches to like German and Russian groups. But when the second wave of like American and British and these allied groups from the West, uh, it created like a huge storm of people mass reporting some major influential groups of that time, like Panzer Lehr, uh, Holy Roman Imperium, uh, you know, just the list goes on. And some of these reports were justified, as there were Nazis in some of these groups and radicals who did try and like influence people. But at the same time, those people themselves individually should have been banned, not the group.
Mm-hmm.
Panzer Lee did not deserve to get banned.
I
I also
even
agree with that.
I made amends with Eric. It was at UDIS. It was like a small patrol base, and Luisada was there harassing me as usual. But Eric was there, and Eric said, "Hello, zombie," and I said, "Hi back." And we kind of had this little phase of like, "Oh, I'm sorry for what I said back in 2014. And your group was pretty cool." And he's like, "Yeah, the RCCP was cool," and we became friends. And to this day, he is still my friend. He messages me here and there, like, "What's up?" Panzer Lehr did not deserve that ban. I'm skeptical on what Eric's political ideologies was, but he did not influence that into his group, and I know that
No.
for a fact.
It was not a political group, and even worse, the worst bit about it is they were one of the only groups that fought fairly. They gave everybody the same advantage.
Yeah, one of their maps, they like I think it was Viller's Bocage,
Yeah,
where everybody
Bocage.
Bocage, everybody had the same like classes. Each side had the same exact damage for each class. So like a rifleman, you know, 50 damage per shot for the rifles. Then like the MG was like 25, you know, per shot, and then it was like the same amount of rounds per minute and stuff like that. So, uh, and then you have all these other groups where it's like, obviously the game passes are very influential with how combat unfolds.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah,
don't
most
like
people
Like a
nowadays only care about money compared to back then where there wasn't game passes. Like, I would prefer to do my my groups without game passes, but because of with the money system, like you need to pay people to have uniforms now. That's one of the main reasons I do it. I rarely advertise my groups. I think the last group I advertised was 2016. So most of the time, all the money will either go to my account. I've never DevX, by the way. Will go to my account or will be given to other people in the group so they can buy clothing and other things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I believe that fills up all of our questions and our time today, Zombie. So obviously, thanks for coming on, for discussing your views, and giving us this rare opportunity, excuse me, to discuss down to earth discussion about the World War II community and Roblox in general. So
And
again,
obviously your history of the
problem.
RCCP.
yeah, your
I
group.
thank you guys for inviting me.
All right, so with that wraps it up. Everybody, thanks for watching the podcast. If you have, this has been your co-host Chillin and co-host Yodbond,
Uh-huh.
and
Our guest, Zombiepatrol.
yeah, our guest.
And next episode, we'll be having X-Forge on.
Yes, X-Forge, leader of the British military 1940s. Though, again, everybody, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, give us a bit of your opinions and beliefs in the comments below about how you feel these beliefs coincide or go against yours. We'd love to have a discussion with you guys. But that's all. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.